Welcome. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and welcome, flower friends. It is so great to be here with you today. And today's a really special day because y'all know how much I love sunflowers. So in today's show, I'm going to be talking about growing sunflowers, why successions are so important, but more importantly, about early bird sunflowers. So stay tuned for that. I'm also going to be doing a little propagating of salvia, the Salvia leucanthia that I root every year. We're going to do some of that. Then we have some dried flowers to share with you. And as always, friends, I am giving away a freebie today, and you don't want to miss out on that. And at the end of the show, I'll be taking a couple of questions. So if you have a question you would like to ask, just put the @Lisa in the comments and then type out your question, and the girls will pick those up and they'll pick a couple for us to be able to answer. And before we really get going here, friends, please share that we're live and invite your friends. We love that. The share button is down. I believe it's on the right-hand corner, and that just lets people know that we're live. And so many people, I was, interestingly enough, this morning on social media, a longtime follower, because I know their name very, very well, she happened to catch one of my posts about us having a phone app, and she said, "How cool is that? I didn't even know." So invite friends, y'all. We just can't share it enough, and we appreciate it so much when y'all do share that. So friends, just an update on my book. We are currently, I'm shipping out the pre-orders, and we're doing it in the order that they were received. We are so incredibly excited about all that. And if you need to order a book, you can order it over on the gardenersworkshop.com, our big website. It's not available here in the app yet. So you can go over there and purchase a book. It's at the top of every page. And we're just really excited about that. And so we also want to remind everybody, save the date, mark your calendar. I am doing an in-person day of flower farming here in Newport News, Virginia. It is May 18th. This is kind of an exclusive in-person event. It won't be streamed. It's not recorded to be given later. It's a small group of 35 people, and it'll be lectures in the morning with then some hands-on demonstrating. Then we walk down to the farm. Then we head to the warehouse and then do a big wrap-up Q&A over there. And you can go to the website where you'll also can pick up the book. If you just search Lisa in the search, that'll take you right to the page where you can get on the wait list for the day of flower farming with me. And y'all know I just love spending the day with flower farmers. So that's a really, really, really exciting time. So just a couple of little tidbits of housekeeping. Please be sure here in the app on your account that your name, your email, and your phone number don't have any typos in it. Because if we need to reach out to you about shipping or a question about your order, we need to be able to get a hold of you. So double check that for us, please. Remember that here inside the app only, all seed only orders ship for free. And we have a cap here in the app on the standard shipping for products. That means if you buy stuff, you pay $9.95 once. Doesn't matter how many products you buy or how much stuff you piggyback on that, you only pay $9.95. And there is a really great special about that today you're going to learn about. We do ship to all 50 of the United States. So we're happy about that. Now, if you are watching us from Instagram or Facebook, we are so glad that you found us. But we just want you to know that we do have a phone app. You can go over to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, and download it. It is totally free, and it has some great features that you can't get through social media. One of them is you can build a favorites list, and then you can find your favorites list at that bottom bar on your app. You can go there anytime, and they're right there waiting. Also, you can go back and watch all of the replays, and that means you can go back to last summer in season, bring it up, hit the shop all, then the little ribbon of the products that I talked about on that video come up. You can scroll to the seeds and hit it, and you can see all of the harvest that we featured that week. And you can go seed by seed if you want, or you can just watch it. And that's a great way to see what was blooming when and what it really looked like. And then also, the conversation inside the app is always great amongst our viewers, so we love for you to be able to do that. Every week, we sell out of certain items. If you go to an item and it says out of stock, get on the wait list. You want to get on the wait list because all that means is that you will get a little notification when it gets put back in stock. And sometimes the team is working behind the scenes to bring stock over from our big website over to this shop. So that's what that is kind of all about. So friends, y'all know I love giving stuff away, right? Guess what? I'm giving away another $25 store credit. So Kelly has brought it up. If you tap the buy button, you're not buying anything, y'all. That'll put you on the list that will be choosing the lucky winner right before the show ends today. So that means when you go in to check out, if you're the winner, you'll have a $25 store credit just sitting there waiting for you to check out. So I also want to say we are in high cotton for the Cool Flower book. So Cool Flowers is my book about the cool season, hardy annuals, and the whole concept of the best time to plant them for your area. It tells you how to figure that all out and just to get the best in abundance. And so this is a great little book. I would love to sign a copy for you. It's $22.95. And you can also go, Kelly, do they automatically get the book study with the email?
Yep.
And so it has a free video book study that comes with it on the confirmation email. Also, my book, Vegetables Love Flowers, which is not really about growing vegetables at all, y'all. This is about why vegetables love flowers, and they love it when they have a constant presence in that garden, and you do that with a cutting garden. So this is a book about the way that I grow cut flowers, 3 seasons, and my favorites, but most importantly, it also includes how I do it without pesticides. It's kind of about my style of gardening and how I kind of live with my garden. So that's Vegetables Love Flowers, and I would love to sign a copy for you. All right, and you know, in addition to giving something away every day, we always have a deal of the day. And today's deal of the day is all of the sunflowers here in the app are 20% off. Now, the specials like this are always good until Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time or until supplies last, if we run out before then. So that is on individual packs as well as collections. And the collections are really a deal, y'all, because they're already a little discounted. So that's 20% off, and it's only in the app. And we're going to be talking about some of my favorites. So first up, oh, I'm set up for the other one. I did this backwards, y'all. Give me just a second here. So I'm just going to hand this off to Karen. We're going to sow sunflowers first. And I am going to actually share my steps and tips while I'm doing it. And I'm going to turn the camera down so that you guys can actually watch me. All right, so I am going to turn, you're going to look at my ceiling for just a minute here, y'all. And let me turn the camera around. And all right, so I am going to be sharing. Let me just line this up a little bit. We don't need the clock showing. That's just kind of distracting, right? All right, so let's talk about sunflowers and why they're so darn important. So I'm going to be doing what I do when I'm sowing sunflowers so you can actually see what I'm talking about. First up,
Just say if the comments are in your way, you can swipe them away.
Oh, good. Thank you, Kelly. So if the comments down here at the bottom of your screen are in your way, you can swipe. It's either to the left or the right. You can swipe them out of the way so you can actually see better. So what I use to mark my trays is masking tape, this plain old regular masking tape. It sticks like a gem. And I use our garden marker, which will be coming up later in the show. So what I typically write on the tape is the variety or the color, because I grow pretty much the same variety all the time. Today, I am going to be sowing the white mix Pro Cut. And I'm going to put today's date, which is, that date is not right. What is today? It says it's the 14th up on our clock. All right, so I always mark my trays because, believe it or not, if you're going to be a succession planter, then you will be so surprised how much they look similar, even though they're different weeks, so you'll actually know when you're going to actually be planting them. So why plant sunflowers? Sunflowers are a huge cash crop for flower farmers. Having a consistent supply is paramount to your business. If you're a home gardener, I mean, who doesn't want sunflowers all season, right? So this is our new wonderful tray, which you'll be learning more about this. This is a 128 plug tray, and it is filled simply with basic, this is not blocking mix, y'all. This is just any basic potting soil mixed 50-50 with compost. That just puts some life into your dead potting soil as well as helps you to puff it up and make it go further, right? So, and I have pre-watered my trays, and I am literally just going to be dropping one seed onto the top of each cell while I go through this topics of why and how we're doing this, right? So, you know, let's start first with early bird. I've been doing this for several years. Sunflowers are not cool season hardy annuals. However, they are much more cold tolerant than what we think they are. And so what I have learned is that I can start sunflowers and plant them out up to at least 3 weeks. And I'm actually pushing the envelope a little bit this year, y'all. This is more than 3 weeks before my frost date. I can plant them outdoors in the garden, have the transplants ready to go to the garden 3 weeks before my last frost date. So you'll have to count back from your frost date to actually see how that pans out for you. So what you need to know about doing the early birds is, first off, it's a gamble. Seeds are inexpensive, but it is an enormous benefit if it actually works out for you, right? So imagine being the first grower with sunflowers to the farmer's market. I will tell you that we've had sunflowers now for the past 4 or 5 years for Mother's Day, which is just enormous, y'all. It's a low investment, high return. And so when you're doing this, the thing that you need to really focus on is the days to maturity. What that means is how many days to bloom. That's one of the reasons that I particularly grow only Pro Cuts typically for this kind of process, because it is 55 to 60 days from seed to bloom. That's pretty quick. And that's what you're looking for, right? And also they're day length neutral, which means that even though the days are shorter, they will still produce a bud and bloom, even though they will potentially be a little bit smaller in spring. Think about the days are shorter, right? So they don't have as much time to grow. I'm just trying to finish this tray on. I'll get back on track here. I'm having to stretch really, really far. All right, 2 more. All right, so I've dropped a seed on the top of each one. So we focus on that day length. You can look at what your last frost date is, count back, and we typically grow sunflowers 2 to 3 weeks in this tray before they get planted out. I would count on 3 weeks. So now I'm just going to be pushing the sunflowers down into the soil because sunflowers prefer to be covered. The seed does best. And this way, you're giving them that darkness that they require. And if you can still look in there, and y'all have like a bird's eye view, right? You can still see a few of those seeds showing. Don't worry about adding more soil, because when you take this into where you're going to grow them or take them outside and water them again with a watering can with a sprinkler nozzle on it that's going to wash the soil off the walls of the cells, and that's going to complete the covering. So that is the actual process of doing it. And I'm almost done, y'all, and then I'll be able to run through the process right quickly here. I know that was a little scattered. All right, so that's how we actually plant them. And I do the very same thing with this that I do with every other seed starting method. I'll pop this onto the seedling heat mat to get them to build ferocious roots and to sprout quickly. And then once 50% or more of them sprout, I would move them to a grow light. But if it's in season and it's warm enough outside, I'd bump them outside. So early bird sunflowers, your aim is to plant them outside in the garden 3 or so weeks before your last frost date, but you have to provide row cover protection. You know, they aren't, you want them to grow, right? I feel fairly certain I have had some both covered and uncovered. The ones uncovered, it didn't kill them when they got snapped with frost, but it didn't help them. You're trying to get them to grow and bloom quickly, right? So using a row cover concentrates the heat. So we plant these out up to 3 weeks before our last frost date, or as now, it'll be a little earlier than that, but they are hooped and covered with a lightweight row cover. And if a deep dip, like 25 degrees or less, is coming, I would definitely put a second cover on there. It's just you want to do everything you can to just really warm these guys up as they're growing up outdoors. So that is how I sow sunflowers. Sunflowers are a huge boost to flower farmers, and gardeners would just love to have it in their garden all season long, right? So that is how I actually plant them. And I know that the question always seems to come, and I'll answer it before it's asked, why do we start sunflower seeds inside instead of planting them straight out in the garden? Well, first off, you could never get sunflowers to sprout and grow when it's this cool and cold outside. You have to use more when you direct sow during the season. We have to protect from varmints like birds. There's added weed protection or prevention steps that have to be taken. You have to oversow, which means you use twice as many seeds at least, and then they have to be thinned. It's just less work to do what you just saw me do. So that's how we sow sunflowers. All right, now we are going to actually plant some salvia cuttings. So this is Salvia leucanthia, and I've already made some cuttings, and I'm going to make some here with you so you can actually see. So this is the same deal. This is a 128 plug tray, and it's filled with the same basic any potting soil mixed with compost. And I have pre-watered this. Now, this is what our end result, this is what we're looking to make, are these short little cuttings with not a lot of vegetation on it. And I will tell you from experience, I have learned that more mature stems seem to really, really do well. So I'm going to actually show you how I made those. So Salvia leucanthia is a really beautiful late summer, like August, September, October bloomer here where I am. And it's what we tend to call a half-hardy perennial. That means it would live year to year if it could survive your winters. And we live right on the edge. Some years it does and some years it doesn't. So we just count on it not living. And so we always have what's called a mother plant. So I have a big pot that we drag in the garage that lives all winter. No light, I barely water it, and that's why they kind of look not so green. You know, they're a little pale, and that's because he's been living indoors all this time. So this is a stem, and you can see there's just not even great vegetation on here, but that doesn't matter. We're going to make some cuttings. So first off, I'm going to get rid of that tip. We don't need that. So I am going to actually just make the cut right above some leaves, and that is what's going to create your cuttings. And so you can see, I don't know if y'all can see that, there's some sprouts right there. Those actually count as leaves, so that could actually be a cutting. My goal is to have about a 2 or 3 inch stem with only one. See, I don't even like leaving these big pieces of vegetation. If there's other little leaves, I get rid of these big pieces. That takes a lot of energy off of the stems to have to support that, so you don't need it. All right, so that's what our cuttings look like. And I've got a list of other plants that you can actually do this with too, but let's actually do a couple and then we'll talk about that. So the other tools I have on hand is I have a glass of water and I have a jar of our rooting hormone, which will be in the show in just a minute here. And I dump some of that into the lid because I don't want to contaminate the whole thing. So what I do, but I should do this first. Then, before I start, I take a pencil and I literally just punch a hole in the cell. You do that so that when you stick the stem down in the soil, it doesn't scrape the rooting hormone off, right? And I'm just going to do a couple of these actually. All right, so let's just take a stem. So here you go. I'm just going to dip it into the water. That just moistens it. And then I'm just going to roll it into the rooting powder. And literally, friends, you're just sticking it in and squishing it. That's it. So I'm going to dip it in water, get some rooting hormone. And, you know, it's true that they might root without rooting hormone, but just like everything else in growing, the faster you can get something to do its job, the less likely you're going to kill it, screw it up, and just have more success. So I find that doing rooting hormone makes a really big difference. So I'm just dipping, rolling, and sticking it in. Now, the rest of the story here for this is I'm not going to put it on a seedling heat mat. I might put it on a cookie cooling rack on top of the heat mat. It benefits from some warmth, but not super hot. And you can usually tell within 4 or 5 days, either it'll start looking like it's croaking, dying, and for whatever reason, that happens sometimes. Very small number of them that happens with. I find if it's like, see how little and immature this one looks compared to some of these others? These are the likely candidates to not root very well. I then put them under grow lights once they start to show signs of actually not dying, which means they're probably putting down roots. I pop them under the grow lights, keep them in the warm room, and literally you can pop the bottom of the trays up and look under and you'll see roots coming. So I don't use domes or anything. I just don't find it necessary. So what are some of the other plants? And I was going to actually show you this. So other plants that we know do really well: marigolds, ageratum, snapdragons. I've heard people experimenting with, I've seen people on social media do snapdragons. I've never done it. Another one that I'm getting ready to experiment with that I'm not going to do for you today, but this is Godicia. And Bobo planted all of this yesterday, and this was the leftovers. So I'm going to pinch these, and because I feel like, first off, the pinchings would like create a succession planting, right? Because they'll be a little later. But I feel like plants that you see that get lots of little sprouts along their stem like this are really great candidates for rooting. So I'm going to experiment with that, and you can actually do that. So for the salvia that we just did, it's a great late summer. You have to purchase a plant somewhere. It's Salvia leucanthia. I often would find it at, Master Gardener plant sales or even your local nursery. You can buy one and make hundreds of plants from that one plant. And so they grow quickly. We try to get them in the ground as soon as the last spring frost passes. So it has the maximum amount of time. They're a huge bee magnet. The pollinators just really, really love them. And you can do this, as I said, on marigolds, ageratum. Test it out on anything you're pinching. What have you got to lose if you've got the time and the space to actually support them? And you can actually go into a search engine and say, name of your plant, can it be propagated from cuttings? So that would be a great place to start. So the rooting hormone just speeds up. Did y'all just see me do that? I just spilt the rooting hormone everywhere. Just another day with Lisa here. And it's just a great way to make more plants. And again, it helps you succession plant, right? Because you'll be weeks behind the plant you took the mother cutting from. All right, so now we're going to come back up. I've probably got, let me turn this. I've probably got rooting powder on my face. I spilt it everywhere, y'all. It's okay. I'm all right with that. All right, so super excited. One of the reasons that we really wanted to do these today is because we have a new product to share with you guys. We have brought on board these super heavy duty plug trays, USA made, y'all. These, if you have our green soil blocking trays that are super heavy duty that just last forever, this is in that same class, right? So these are the 128 plug trays, and they are last for seasons, not a season, right? So this is for folks that are in for the long haul, that are using their trays over and over and over again, as we do here. So a 5-pack of these trays is $29.95, and we even have a 25-pack, which is $129.95. The special that's happening only while supplies last here in the app is that you only pay $9.95 to ship this. Because let me tell you, friends, the shipping costs a lot more than that, particularly depending on where you live. So that's the special. You pay additional shipping, which is what it actually costs, over on our big website, the normal standard shipping cost. Here in the app, it's just $9.95. And guess what else we now have available is heavy duty bottom trays that fit any 128. That is a super sturdy tray. We have spent years, y'all, literally years, trying to find a tray that I would be willing to use, and this is it. So these are the shallow, no holes, heavy duty bottom trays, and let me show you why we love it. So I don't know if you're like me, if you're growing in a building, your back bedroom, your garage, and you can't have, can you get me one of those out? You can't have water running all over the place. This tray has solved the problem. And I'll tell you, we have a graveyard of tray. We have bought so many different styles of tray, and it just won't do the job for me. This is why, so this is how it fits. See how the tray sits down in there? This makes watering so easy because first off, you can't just water the top here with any tray, nor this tray, because the water runs off and makes a mess in wherever you're doing it. But this low, shallow, no-hole tray allows you to take your watering can and just pour water in, and it waters from the bottom, which is preferred, with absolutely no spillage in your house or wherever you're doing it. This has been revolutionized. I have never been able to put sunflowers really under my grow lights because of the watering problem, and this has resolved it. So the watering can is a really great, a long spout, gentle, this is our espresso watering can that we totally love. Houseplant people are just gobbling this up. It's just as pretty as it is useful. So friends, the special is, so the trays are the same price as the plug trays. You get 5 bottom trays for $29.95 or 25 of them for $129.95. And y'all, these last for seasons, not a season. And we just love that they're made in the USA. Oh, wait.
She said people want to see the bottom of the plug trays, the holes.
Okay.
Show the bottom of
Now that I've made it wet.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait a minute. Karen's getting me another one. Wait a minute, I think. How's that? Does that show? Okay. You know, we don't use a ton of plug trays except for our sunflower production and like salvia, and there's a couple of other things that we'll grow in plug trays. Perhaps one of the most aggravating things for the past many years has been plug trays because we just didn't have the whole thing. It's that bottom tray is sealing the deal for us. All right, so what's up next? Rooting powder. And here is the rooting powder, guys. This is the Fertilome, and again, I can't emphasize enough, it's just best to dump some into the top or to some little something you have so you don't contaminate. This will last you years. I mean, I keep the same one probably for, I bet it takes me 2 or 3 years to use it up. This is $9.95, and it's rooting powder for anything you're trying to root. And we were actually on my walk this morning, we were talking about rooting azaleas. My parents used to do that. All right, here is the Neptune's Harvest Seaweed and Fish. This is what we use, not only, this is what I feed my seedlings. Every Monday, the watering can gets the house plant dose of seaweed fish, but we also use this in the garden whenever I can. You can use it as a soil drench. What does that mean? That just means you mix it up and pour it on the soil. I mean, if you're a small grower or a gardener, that works beautifully. You can also mix it up and spray it on the foliage, which that's called foliar feeding, which is incredibly beneficial to your plants. However, remember that this has a stinky odor. You would never do that once your plants have buds. You know, buds and beyond, you don't want to be putting this up on the foliage anyway. We've used this for years and really, really love it. So we are so happy to have the fungus gnat prevention tools back, y'all. So fungus gnats, if you haven't experienced those yet, those fungus gnats just kind of appear whenever you have moist soil, whether it's house plants, seed starting, and all of a sudden you just have these little gnats flying around. We know as big seed starters that the key is to prevent those from ever happening. So these are the mosquito bits. And this is the same product that was in our previous fungus gnat control, but it's just in a different form. You put a tablespoon, I think it's into a quart, has all the instructions here. And I use this on Wednesdays in my watering can. And in fact, because it wants it to sit for 30 minutes to dissolve some before you actually use it. And in fact, when I finish watering on Tuesday, I fill my watering can up, put the dose in there, and let it sit overnight so that it's well dissolved the next morning. So this is the mosquito bits. And then the other part of the kit is we have the yellow sticky trap. So here's how it happens. Those gnats that are flying around are the adults. That's what's attracted to these. This is a great capturing tool for adults and monitoring to see, oh, there's fungus. I see 2 fungus gnats on my trap this morning. I've got a problem, right? So this captures and monitors for adults. This is what kills the larvae, the babies that these guys lay on the moist soil. Fungus gnat larvae eat your roots. So it's really important. The minute we fire up our grow room, which, you know, we only don't have plants in the grow room in December, from January till November, every Wednesday, we do fungus gnat control. There are always sticky traps all over my grow room. I want to see what's going on in there. So you can get both of these for $19.95. That's 5 of the stickies. And this is an 8-ounce size. And that prevention is the key, guys. I mean, if you have fungus gnats flying, it's going to be a long road. And remember, if you're doing this in your home, if you have house plants, you got to treat them too. That's where that may be what your little, we call it the typhoid Mary. That's where your endless supply of problems are coming from. All right, so here's that garden marker that I was using earlier when I was marking my trays. Masking tape, any masking tape, sticks beautifully to our plug trays, to our soil blocking trays. And then when we use the garden marker, which is made to resist UV rays and moisture, we've had writings on trays and actually garden markers, the wooden markers, to last more than a year. Easy to read. If you've had the bad surprise of using maybe like a Sharpie or something, you go out in 3 weeks and all of a sudden your words are gone. That's not the case. These are $6.95, and be sure you mark those sowing dates on your trays. All right, and we've made a little bundle. This has the marking pen, and it also includes 10 of these 12-inch and 10 of these 18-inch garden markers. And I'll give you a little hack tip. that I do, once I write on it this side, then the next time I use it, I write on the other side. Then to use it again, you can either just spray paint it or you can dip it in a gallon of paint, and then you can use it all over again. And it's actually kind of fun to do that, especially if you use different colored stuff. So this is the label and marker bundle, and this is great for marking your sunflowers out in the field. It's $24.80, and I'll tell you that Bobo and I are just the worst about marking plantings, and we never remember. So this is the solution to that. Now, when you're planting, so I was just getting ready to drink some of the plant water. I'm going to take just a little sip. You can hear I'm kind of raspy, y'all. My sis is sick. There's so many sick people, y'all. Anyway, so next up is our complete dry organic fertilizer. This is what we use in our fields. So this is the 4-pound bag. It's $14.95, and it takes 7.5 cups per 100 square feet. 100 square feet takes 7.5 cups. And that's approximately 3 pounds. So this will do a little bit more than a 10 by 10 garden. This is what we add at every bed flip. And it's dry. You toss it down. You can incorporate. If you have a dog, you definitely need to incorporate it because they love to gobble it up. This is OMRI certified. It's based on chicken litter that's been processed. And it feeds your soil that, in fact, then turns and feeds your plants. So we add that at every flip, and it just makes your soil get healthier with every passing season. So I'm reminded as we are out doing whole weeding of cool flowers, stuff that was planted last fall, Bobo and I are both always talking about how much we actually love Bio360. If you're not familiar with Bio360, this is a biodegradable film. It looks like plastic, but it is made out of a corn byproduct, and it is totally compostable and biodegradable. And it's not like landscape fabric. You can literally pop a hole in it with your finger or any tool, which I'll show you some tools here in a minute. Now, we make our beds and put this on it, and it suppresses weeds. It helps to keep our plants clean. Particularly if you're growing vegetables, it keeps diseases from splashing up. It comes with a dark side and a light side. We always put the dark side up when we're planting in cooler conditions to help warm the soil, let the sun do its job, right? And typically when we're planting those sunflowers each week and every week from now until about 45 days before our last frost, typically we don't put anything on the bed because they grow so quick, right? But it could be beneficial to help warm your soil to actually have it prepared with the black side up. So when you're cool conditions and you want the soil to warm, you put the black side up. But when we're in summer and you want to keep the surface cooler because it's 95 degrees outside, we make the beds for those plantings with the light side up. So this comes in a 48-inch wide piece, so it fits perfectly on up to a 36-inch wide bed because you need it to go down the sides and have some for the soil to cover. And it's available now in 2 lengths. We now have a 50-foot length available in a 1-pack, which is $24.95, or a 6-pack, which is $119.95. But we've also added, unbelievable, I can't believe we can do it, 100-foot piece, which for those of us that are growing, really, because many of us have 75-foot beds or longer, right? A 1-pack for 100-foot is $39.95, or a 3-pack of 100 is $110.95. And let me tell you why I find Bio360 so incredibly useful. It's not, because I often get asked, does it last a long time? It really does. It does last. But where I find its most powerful punch is the first probably 60 days of a bed's life when your canopy is not grown up. A lot of the soil surface is now exposed to the sun, and I don't care how deep you mulch with organic type mulches, because we do that also. you just still have to do a lot of weeding. This helps to suppress more weeds during that first 60-day stage than I have found with organic stuff. And so we really attribute being able to scale our flower farm all those years ago because of how this helps suppress weeds and just make it less labor. So Bio 360, 1 pack, 6 packs, 2 different lengths. Totally love that stuff. Now, y'all have probably, if you've been here before, I'm sure you've heard us talk about the hand hose. We often say that every girl, now we have a guy on our farm too, every girl on this farm has carried a hand hoe like it's a purse. I mean, they just don't go out without it. That's how important this little Japanese grass weeder is. And I will say that even Andrew has one. So it comes in a left hand or in the right hand model. So this hoe works just like every hoe blade should work. If my hand is the soil surface, a hoe blade should always be flat on the ground. Well, let's take that off. The hoe blade should be flat on the ground, not like this, scraping. You want your hoe blade to be flat. You sink it down about 1 inch below the soil surface and you pull it through the soil. Think of cutting a soft stick of butter and you want to cut it long ways in half. That's exactly what you need to imagine in your mind. You want to keep the blade flat and just pull it through, and just like a warm knife through that butter, it just flows through your soil, taking out weeds and developing weed seeds without bringing up a lot of fresh soil from down deeper that have, guess what? More weed seeds. It's like this perpetual problem. We chop and mix up the soil and bring up more weed seeds. This helps you to not bring up fresh, but extinguish what is there. And after you've done that 2 or 3 times on a bed, all of a sudden you realize you have so few weed seedlings because you are extinguishing them. So this is $24.95. It comes in a left-hand model and a right-hand model, and it'll ask you when the product comes up which one you want. I will tell you that is the best gift ever. I mean, people buy and buy half dozens. When we used to do shows, it's just a great gift to give anybody that does any kind of outdoor work. So this is what we call the Bobo weeder. This is actually a dandelion weeder, and this is what Bobo uses, and this is actually, her handprints are on here, what she uses to make the holes in the Bio 360. See the little sharp edges, the little prongs? And this is what she uses. And I'm going to talk about this flower support in a minute, but she uses the flower support netting on the Bio 360 laying right on the ground as a planting grid. Then she comes along with this tool and pops the holes. I mean, planting is so very, very quick. So this is the Bobo hand weeder, and it's not $24.95, is it? I think that's not right.
I'm looking.
Yep, she's looking. So this is the Bobo hand weeder, and Bobo uses it all the time, and we carry it $7.95. I'm gonna say it's not $24.95 unless something has happened. So that's the best $8 you'll ever spend. It's a great dandelion weeder also. So this is another great tool, and I will tell you that when I just made a demo bed during the winter, a 3x10 bed for us to have pictures, I put a piece of I installed Bio 360, and there wasn't loose soil on the edges to be able to scrape soil to actually cover the Bio 360. Y'all, I used this tool to not only punch and drag, but I scraped up soil. This is like a garden knife extraordinaire. This is the Hori Hori garden knife. It's $46.95. You can use it to plant plants, bulbs. We learned about it from Master Gardeners years ago, and when I'm planting Lenten rose baby seedlings under big trees with ferocious roots, this is the only way I can make a hole. This is the Hori Hori, and it does come with a sheath, but you do have to wear a belt with this one. This is a great tool, and I'll tell you, if you have any gardener friends in your life, that is also another great gift. These are the kind of things that you give to people, and they thank you for the rest of their life every time that they see you. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's really pretty significant. All right, so here's that plant flower support netting I was speaking of. This is just a piece of it. This is plastic, reusable from year to year if you install it properly and remove it on time. It is 36 inches wide. It's available in either a 20-foot piece or a 50-foot piece. If you need bigger than that, because we have 3,000 plus foot rolls and another size that I can't quite remember over on our website. But if you are a home gardener, the 20 or a 50, this is what you've got. Bobo actually has a designated piece that she uses as the planting grid. Each hole is 6 inches. And, you know, we recommend netting the sunflowers. We don't net sunflowers anymore because we plant so many that it's we just accept the gamble when we do that. But if you're not growing many, and that makes them more important, definitely net those babies because you do not want them to go down. And so that's in a 20 or a 50-foot piece, $11.95 and $21.95. And we're getting ready to net our cool flowers. They're just popping right up out of the ground, right? So another thing is the row cover. Now, when we plant our sunflowers, you know, because we plant sunflowers every week, that's the succession, right? You do it week after week, so you have a constant flow of sunflowers. We don't hoop them, but oftentimes if you're fighting bunny rabbits or deer, we lay row cover. It's called floating row cover for a reason, y'all. You can use it without hoops for short term. We cover our sunflowers for about 10 to 14 days, let them get established, let them get a little bit more height to them, and then you can take the cover off. This is a 6.5 foot wide by 50 foot long. It's $26.95. Is that right? Yes. And if you need hoops and weight bags, you can find those over on our website. Sorry, y'all. My doctor calls it the 100-day cough. We just can't get rid of it. And I understand I am not alone in this. All right, so, and here we do have the weight bags here in the app. This is what the weight bag looks like. This is basically a sandbag, y'all. Trying to look for the open. Here you go. So you open it, you fill it with approximately 15 pounds of soil, sand, gravel. We use a lot of gravel around here. It has a string, you can tie it up. And this is the secret to keeping row covers down in our really windy location. So this comes in a 10 bag for $10.95, 25 bags for $24.95, or 50 bags for $39.95. And I will tell you, having enough bags to properly hold down your row cover not only protects your plants better, it keeps your row cover from ripping, y'all. So many people complain of that, and it's because they're not it's flapping, and that just cannot really happen. All right, so it's that time of year that we are really starting. I mean, I was literally out in the garden the other day. I bet I walked back and forth to my tool shed on the back of this building about 6 times. Had I just gone ahead and pulled out the tool belt, I could have just filled it up, right? This is the tool belt that will go up to, I think it's 44 inches. It's adjustable. And this is one of the Tommy Company products, super heavy duty canvas. It is $22.95. This is the way that I use it. I put all my stuff in it, and then I just slide it around so that this is on my backside. So I'm not bending over and fighting that, right? All right. So totally love, this is another great, these are the kind of things that people don't buy for themselves. They're just a really great tool. Now, this is, and they actually said this before the show, don't let Lisa see where you're keeping those because she'll take them. Is that like really the nicest thing you've ever heard? All right, y'all. Pouch and shears, and this is what they were talking about. This is mine after 25 years of wearing it, and this is what it looks like new. The pouch, before and after. Totally love this thing, y'all. Why do I love it? Because it has a clip on the back. You do not have to wear a belt. And then who doesn't need a new pair of shears every year, right? So we have the shear and pouch set for $60.90. If you just need one part of this, it's available separately too. But I will tell you, why do I keep shears for year after year? Because this is always on my hip. I mean, it's like I just don't even think about it, you know. I just put it on in the morning and take it off at night when I go in the house. So that's $60.90, the best investment you'll make in yourself.
Do you cut sunflowers with that?
I cut everything with that. Woodies, sunflowers, everything. Hydrangeas, all of them. Totally love them. They're actually bonsai shears. They are much smaller than Felco's. I used to be a Felco #2 person for the first 10 years of my life. As you get old, you need smaller, easier, lighter stuff to use. We totally love them. So this is the rose stem cleaner. But that's not what we use them for, because of course, you know, we don't grow roses here, but we grow other things that have not necessarily thorns, but big tough leaves. You could use this to strip sunflowers. If you have not old rickety hands like I have, I wear gloves for sure. Never harvest without gloves on. I just grab sunflowers and strip them. There are a lot of people that aren't able to do that. This is the tool. You put your stem in and just pull it straight down, and it 100% protects your hands. You can use this on woodies, anything that has a tough leaf on it. So this is the stem stripper for $19.95. And you know, I'll give y'all another little sunflower hack. Thank you, Jessie, for reminding me. We strip sunflowers before we cut them. So much easier. You just walk down the aisle holding onto the heads, take your stem stripper, run it down, strip them all, then you're coming back and just cutting them and collecting them. Totally going to be loving that. And just a reminder to everybody, if you want to be entered into the $25 giveaway, hit the buy button. You're not buying anything, and that'll put you on the list to get a $25 store credit when you go to checkout, and Kelly puts that in immediately. And in case you joined late, if you want to have your question put in the pool, put @Lisa with your question, and the girls will have a couple of those. Now, I want to show you a couple of flowers that we talked about already today. And remember to store your seeds properly. Desiccants. This is what we keep with our seeds. 2-pack is $2.95. A 10-pack is $9.95. And just a little bit of a sideliner, you know, we grow the same seeds on this farm that you purchase from us. My seeds come from the same shelves. We pull those seeds right off the same packs that you guys are getting. So we're growing the same stuff, and I just kind of love that we can actually do that. Now remember that today is 20% off all sunflowers in the app. You can just search sunflower and all of them will come up. And this is a great way to get to meet the ProCut family. This is the ProCut mix. And it has all the colors in there. That way you can figure out which ones you like or don't like. Another mix, we make all these mixes in-house ourselves. This is the ProCut white mix. This is actually what we started today. This has the sunlight and what do they call the
White night?
White night and white light. Holy cow. It's been a long time since we've talked sunflowers, y'all. Totally beautiful. Then this is our go-to bouquet mix. This has 4 different ProCut oranges in there. That is really, so you get all 4. So you can buy 1 pack and get 4 different seeds. And remember, all of these are 20% off, y'all. And we have jumbos of many of these. Then we have the fall medley. And this is what I like to start using at the end of the season, kind of when the season, probably like late July is when I starting these that have 5 of our favorite fall colors. Can you move up, Kelly? Then this is Sunfill, which we actually grow this sunflower, not for the bloom, but for the bud. It is great filler, y'all. That's a whole nother conversation. This is a great one to grow, to fill, and that is a great candidate for now. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was gonna I'll talk about, Kelly, help me remember, I need to tell them what colors I like to start in this time of the year. This is Sunrich Gold. This is not a ProCut. This is another great sunflower. And then this one is Sun Bright. See how the petals are shorter? The discs are bigger. Longer to bloom, but still a great one. And then we have Vincent's Fresh. This is a favorite of a lot of flower farmers. And y'all, you learn what sunflower grows best for you. I love ProCuts. but there are other choices. Vincent has a double row of petals is what makes him super unique. All right, and lastly, there's Moulin Rouge, which is the brancher. We don't grow this as a cut. This is a great garden sunflower that branches that the birds just really like. And before I start the flowers, I told you I was going to tell you what colors I like to do early bird. That is peach, pro-cut whites, and pro-cut lemon. Those are all spring colors, y'all. Think about that. You want to grow those colors that are conducive to the season they're going to be blooming in. So those are my 3 go-tos. All right. So we talked about marigolds and doing cuttings. Here are marigolds dried. This is the mix. Absolutely love it. Marigolds are huge. Look how tall these guys are. They dry and hold their color. They're just absolutely amazing for wreath work. And then there's nothing like straw flowers, y'all. We love straw flowers fresh. And then if there are leftovers, we like to dry. Well, they're born dry, right? So that was the mix. This is the peach mix, which has got some really great, beautiful colors. Soft peach and darker peach. And then we have Amoebium, and I have a surprise for y'all. So Amoebium is like a cross between feverfew and straw flowers, in my mind. That's not really scientific, y'all. But it's like a small straw flower. Really, really love it. And this is a cool flower, which I happen to have some seedlings of right here. Because it's such a tall grower, we kind of succession plant that. So you can just get that now and start it. These are ours. We fall planted. This is very early spring, and then we're going to be starting it again. So that is Amoebium. Grows super tall, and it's really beautiful, fresh, and as a dried flower. And then I just want to remind everybody that Sweet William, Amazon, do you have that, Kelly? There you go. This is the Amazon lavender. And I wanted to just pinpoint, see this? Amazon is famous for sending up premature buds, y'all. Just don't worry about it. Pinch it off and go on. So Sweet William is one that we succession plant. It's always very, very welcome. So this is Sweet William, Amazon, and there's 3 colors available here in the app. Amazon is my go-to Sweet William, particularly for succession planting. All right, so now, friends, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to take a few questions at the very end, but I just want to remind everybody we have tons of free resources over at thegardenersworkshop.com. You'll find videos and blogs and our podcasts. And we have 2 podcasts. We have Field and Garden, and then we have Seed Talk with Lisa and Lane. And yesterday's episode on Seed Talk was growing hellebores as cut flowers, which is one that Lane and I both just love so much. So check that out on any app that you listen to your podcasts on. So this coming Wednesday, I am hosting Ask a Flower Farmer. Remember to meet us back here next Friday for the live shopping show right here inside the app. And thank you guys so much for joining me. And guess what, y'all? We have a winner. All right, so the $25 store credit, and you have to be here, so you have to be ready to give us a big old shout out, is going to go to Aaron Kelly. Aaron Kelly, if you are here, give us a big shout out in the comments, and Kelly will add this $25 credit to your cart. Congratulations, and we appreciate y'all entering. We just love giving stuff away. So, all right. We got some questions here. We'll take a few. What is the best way to remove transplants from plug trays? Share Bobo's method for checking if sunflowers are okay. So that's a really great question. First off, we don't grow much in plug trays except for sunflowers and occasionally like salvia, that type of stuff. So Bobo just does this little test where when she comes in the morning and all the sunflowers are out there on the porch, she just stops and gives a stem a tug to see if the whole plug comes up, or does it feel like she's going to rip the stem from the roots because it's too immature yet. We find that
Aaron is here.
Oh, Aaron's here. Congratulations, Aaron. So Kelly's putting a $25 credit in your cart as we are talking about it right now. So the best way to remove transplants from the plug tray is having a vigorous, healthy root mass and having a mature enough plant. So when you pull it, it just pops right out. That's one of the reasons, that's why soil blocking is so much quicker to plant. So I hope that helps you. But having a robust roots with a mature stem is the bottom line. Soon after making soil block, how soon after making soil block should I put the seed in? Can I wait a bit or is it a rush? So it's not a rush, but it's far easier to sow seeds into well-moistened blocks, which is the result they are when you've just made them. Our method here is Bobo will make multiple trays, then she sits down and sows them all. Then she makes more trays, then she sits down and sows them all. So that's the best. You can rehydrate them if you let them dry out, but that is a lot of extra work and it doesn't always go so well. You got to keep the blocks from floating. So we say make the blocks and sow. When should I start fertilizing my fall planted hardy annuals? So when you start seeing them, that's a really great question. When you start seeing growth in this very early spring, like we're uncovering ours and starting to do a little whole weeding and getting ready to net them. Once you see growth, you could do a foliar feed or drench the soil. But yeah, we don't really do that much just because we always have too much to do because we added organic dry fertilizer when the beds were prepared. So we don't, unless something needs it, or looks puny or something, we don't typically do that, but you can certainly do it. What is the proper bed spacing for snapdragons? Well, any spacing is proper. It all depends on what your end result is that you want. We want branching sunflowers, meaning snapdragons. Sorry, did I say? Was it snapdragons?
It was snapdragons.
Yeah, I've got sunflowers on the brain. Any spacing is correct depending on what it is that you want. If you want branching like we do, we get up to like 15 stems per plant because we put 4 rows across a 30-inch wide bed. And that encourages branching. But if you want one big, huge honking stem instead of all those branches, you could put them super tight together. But honestly, not many people really want that. Ours already get 40 inches tall when they're spaced out and we get multiple stems. So 4 rows in a 30-inch wide bed is what we do. And then 6 inches apart in the run of the row, if that makes sense. All right, I'll take one more. Are Bupleurum and cress cut and come again? Does cress regrow and get to the seed stage again? Not sure how many plants I need for a whole season of bouquet making. What a good question. So this also really depends on your region, your conditions. For us, Bupleurum is one and done. It doesn't really branch, but that's really because we just get right into hot, humid conditions here in Virginia. We definitely succession plant Bupleurum. We plant it fall, we plant it very early spring, and then we plant a couple of additional successions, gambling that we might have a longer spring-like condition instead of going straight into summer, right? So it's one and done on Bupleurum for us, but that's not the case if you're in New England probably, so it's really about your conditions. Cress, on the other hand, is proved, I've only been growing that now for a couple of years as a cool flower, and it is a brancher. And so we still succession. I don't rely on anything for a whole season, right? We fall planted it. We very early spring planted it. And we're pretty much done with it by then. We just find that anything that's a cool season hardy annual, even though you might love to have it in late summer, it's a cool season hardy annual. It is just not going to be at its best growing in hot conditions unless, again, you're in Maine, right? That might be, in the New England or in the northern regions, they grow cool flowers all summer. That's their season. They can't hardly get warm season stuff to do it, right? So it does regrow. It does branch in my experience for cress. So thank you guys so much for such great questions. I really appreciate it. And I hope you try getting some Salvia leucanthia, save your mother plant from year to year and you'll never have to buy her again. And do your sunflower succession planting. They are the cash cows of a flower farm if you grow them the right varieties at the, and keep them coming week after week. So friends, thank everybody for joining me here today.